Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you watching. If you would like and subscribe, I sure would appreciate it. Trying to build up my subscribers, trying to get to 130. So here we go. This weekend going to be I won the Iron City Kayak Anglers Tournament on Logan Martin, Great Lake. It's part of the Coosa River chain. If you've never been there, it's one of those great Coosa River lakes that you can catch either spots or largemouth. Both usually play. I guess my comment on that would be like which ones you decide to choose. Most of the time I would go largemouth just because they are usually bigger. The only time I would normally target spots is whenever, not during a spawn, because obviously a largemouth is a little easier to target during a spawn where you know where they're going to be. But any other time of year, if the fishing is tough, post-frontal, things like that, like it was this weekend, I would go for spots because I'm looking for spots are usually a little bit easier to catch, a little bit more predictable. Largemouth, they can, notoriously tough whenever the weather gets, post-frontal, bad weather conditions, things like that. So yeah, there you go. So I thought I'd talk about the three we use. We have a 3-fish limit. I do wish it was 5, but maybe one day we'll change that, or at least go up to 4, like Queen City Kayak Angler, Queen City KBF in North Carolina, like they do. I like that 4-fish limit because it makes it easier for the newer guys or men or women, and then a little bit. It also takes away, because whenever you do a 3-fish limit, the thing I don't like about that is, a lot of times it'll skew towards the person that caught the biggest fish. And me, I'm somebody I'm not necessarily a big fish guy, but I always do good, in a tournament. I don't win. I usually win 1 or 2 a year, not a whole lot of tournaments, but I do well in just about every tournament, usually right around the money, just in, just out. So I'm usually like that 4th, 5th place kind of guy. I'm really good at Angler of the Year type stuff, but not always the winner or the big fish guy. So it's just how I fish. I use a lot of finesse techniques, things like that. So, everybody has their own style. So tonight I'm going to talk about the three baits, 3 rod and reel setups that I use to win the tournament. The first one, I left them all tied on, so this might be a mess trying to show them off, but this is, it's got a dog hair on there. I have a dog, shedding dog. But this is X Zone. You can see X Zone behind me. This is the only brand that I'm actually sponsored by. The only soft plastic or any kind of bait company I have any affiliation with. But this is like a legit, the standard is a Yamamoto Senko. It's the most expensive. It's the one that is also the least durable. And I've got to say, I've used all the other brands. Strike King, I like the Strike King scent. I think that's good at catching anglers, not necessarily the fish. But, I like the coffee scent. I drink coffee. But this one, I use Bang scent on them anyways, so it doesn't really matter. And the X Zone uses a little bit of oil. So it's got a little bit of oily texture, but doesn't really have a smell. And the fish hold on. But this is actually, you got to give it up to Yamamoto because theirs might be the best, the standard. But the durability is terrible. But the X Zone True Center stick, this is a 6-inch that I use in black and blue. I like the 6-inch because I don't have to put a weight on it. And you can skip and pitch it. This is like probably my #1 pitching bait. I use this more than just about anything else. But the True Center stick would absolutely be my #2, and that's God's honest truth. It is that good. So I would say if you're looking for a Senko type bait, they sell a 5-inch, 6-inch. If you're looking for a Senko type bait and you don't want to spend that money of the Yamamoto, absolutely check out the X Zone because it's the second best on the market. And I've used them all. Yum, Strike King, a lot of other different brands use them. There's a lot of good brands out there, but this X Zone True Center stick, legit, maybe like kind of secretly X Zone's best bait. A lot of other baits get talked about, but this is probably the best bait they sell. Like, legitimately, I really like it. I don't see many people talk about it at all. I'm always really surprised by that. But, see, like I said, I'm going to be hitting stuff here. But this is 17-pound Sunline, Seaguar and Vizex. It's a great in-between line. I also use this setup for finesse jigs. I use Yeah, I posted a video on that. You can go back and check out that video. But this is a 7'2" medium heavy Falcon. You know, big Falcon rods guy. If I can use them, I am changing. I'm not sponsored by them at all. I just happen to like their stuff. But I am swapping out all my rods eventually to Falcon. It's a 7'2" medium heavy Falcon Kara. This is their flagship. The high dollar one is definitely the nicest rod I have. Super tacky grips. Really like that. Cork. You know, I can kind of take or leave cork, but these are the best cork grips I've ever used. They're super, I mean, they're just as nice as they could be. And this is one of those high dollar Shimano Corrado 150 MGLs. So super light spool. I mean, this is just an absolute, I mean, I'm not saying it's like a Bantam or super high dollar reel, but it's expensive. It's as expensive as I get. I don't use the high dollar stuff because I'm on a kayak, but that is the most expensive rod and reel combo I own. I just, you know, get that out of the way there. But that rod and reel setup I always have in the kayak, so I did spend more money. Obviously, I'm sponsored by Summerland Outdoors in Columbus, Georgia. They have more rods than just about anybody except for Tackle Warehouse. And if you can't find it on Tackle Warehouse, and you're looking for a rod or reel or bait or a kayak, they ship anywhere in the country. Look at Summerland Outdoors. They probably have that rod in stock, and they have every brand. I mean, just about every brand you could think of. Any brand that you want, and unless it's something crazy. I mean, they've got Phoenix, Shimano, all the cool Shimano stuff. They've got it. They've got Evergreen, everything. They have just about every rod and reel you can imagine. Fitzgerald, I've really been checking them out too. But I happen to like Falcon. Not sponsored, just like them. Number 2 is, and how I caught that, I was pitching under a dock. Not actually pitching, skipping. Another reason I like a Senko. I was skipping that underneath a dock, and I got so far underneath this dock, half of my kayak was underneath there because I had my rods sticking up. My rods in the back coming out of my box. But I was skipping it way underneath there with that, you know, with that rod. And that's why I like a 7.2. Not too heavy a skip with, because 7.2 you can still, with the finesse jigs and with that Senko, you can still get it around, skip it, do whatever you want to do, roll, cast. And it works. If you had anything bigger, it might not work as well. So that's why I like that 7.2. But it's medium heavy and 7-speed reel. 7.3 to 1, I think. Yeah, so I talked about that. And I use a 5. If you're thinking about, well, what size hook does it use for a 6-inch Senko? I use a Gamakatsu 5/0 Superline EWG. You would normally use a EWG whenever the bait's a little bit fatter, so you need a little bit more bite. And I use that because Senko's pretty thick. I use Superline because I throw it everywhere. I throw it, 17's good in between pound line. You could go with 22. 20 would be fine too. But with finesse jigs, I like a 15. So I have 17 on there because it's a good in between 15 and 20. Some stuff I like 20, some stuff I like 15. So that's why I have 17 on there, because it's a multi-purpose rod. And so yeah, Superline hook because it'll get them out of there. Next is, so I was way underneath the dock, and I think there were a couple of fish spawning because I caught 2 out of there. And I think I caught both the male and the female. I threw in and caught the female. Then once I got that out, I threw in same place, and I caught the male. So I think they were spawners underneath that dock. The water was dirty enough to where I couldn't, I was blind casting to them, but I was getting. Man, sometimes whenever you need that one fish, I know here on the Coosa River or a lot of different places, you get to the nastiest, deepest, darkest places. You get as good as you can with casting, and you really try to get to places where those fish haven't seen a lure. People have just skipped it. Those fish are at least fresh that day where they haven't seen a lure that far back. And sometimes that could be a difference in catching that biggest fish, but you really got to hold on, because some like that one, the biggest one, she was kind of wrapped around a pole a little bit. So luckily I spend money and I have good line and I was able to get it out. So it all worked out for me. Number two, and the first fish I caught in the day was a spot. That fish that I caught with that one, I think, is 17 and 3/4. Then also a 17 and 3/4 that I caught first thing in the morning, and it was schooling, just a schooling spot. That first one was a largemouth. A schooling spot out in like 25 feet off a big point. The first main river point coming into a big giant, I guess like a slough, big giant pocket. Wouldn't call it a creek, but it was pretty, I mean, it went pretty far back. Let's say a small creek. I forget the name of it. And I chose that creek because I kind of wanted to be, I didn't want, there's two main creeks on Logan Martin. There's a Clear Creek and there's Rabbit Ear Branch, I think it's called. Those are our two biggest ones. And if you're looking for spawners, I figured there was a lot of boats out too, so I figured there'd be the most amount of people in those two creeks. So I kind of wanted to stay away from there. Couldn't go upriver because it was all blown out from the rain. So I kind of had to choose something that was a little bit in between. So I got kind of an in-between size creek. Not that big, didn't go back that far, so I was hoping it'd cut down on boat traffic. It really didn't. I mean, it's Coosa River. It just gets so much pressure. There's nothing you could do. But first thing in the morning, even before a lot of the boats got out there, because we were able to lines in with 6:30 before all the boats came in, and a boat did come in on me there. He got on the other side of the point and just started fishing. So it was kind of a, not what you want to see happen, but they did. And it was a Googan spook. Not that I like Googan. We happen to have a field and stream here, and I needed a spook because I lost a different one day. And I just wanted a white one. I actually do like the color. It's kind of a white. It is a bone white kind of color, if you can see it there. A little bit dark in here. But there is just like a tiny bit of chartreuse on the bottom. So the colors are good on it. Good hooks. And I'll tell you this is kind of my theory on hooks. Get a lot of information here, but EWGs, I like extra wide gap. I prefer if I'm going to change, if it's time for me to change out the hooks, and I sharpen all my hooks. I mean, I do it pretty regular. At start season, midway through in the season, I'll sharpen every single hook I have, just make sure I did them all. And before I cut them off, I usually try to sharpen again. And I keep one in the boat, just in case I kind of grind out a hook on the water. I check them. So I think, that can really make a difference, especially if you've been throwing one crankbait. The next one, I did throw a lot. But Googan Spook, it's not really that good of a bait. I like dropped it. I do like the knock in it, so it's got a good knock. The water was a little bit dirty, so that was good. It does have kind of a pop front on it. If you can see it there. It does have a cupped lip on the front, so that's good. And I just did my last video on the Norman speed clips. Yeah, put that right there. Norman's. This is actually a Spro one. Huh. The Norman speed clip would be better. I ran out of the Norman, so I had to. The last tournament I had, not this one, but the one before that one, I had to buy some of these. I had to buy some Spro ones. I don't like them as much because they have more of that grass can hook onto. They're just not as streamlined. And that's why I like the Norman ones. But you can go back and watch that video too. But like I was talking about the hooks, if the water's cold and the fish's mouths are a little bit harder, because they usually, this is my theory, a lot of times they'll have red lips in the winter. And I think that's from whenever they eat crawfish. They're on the bottom, they're eating crawfish. Their lips are actually hitting the ground and they're getting crawfish off the bottom. No idea if that's true. That's just how I think about it. And whenever you have the round bend hooks, and I kind of heard John Cruz talk about this one time with hooks and why he chooses which kind of hook. And it kind of stuck with me. That I like the round bend hooks in the winter because it has a little bit more, a little bit more hook on there. A little bit more space to stay in the fish's mouth, and that's more important whenever the water is cold, because the fish's mouth is a little bit tougher. And like the EWGs, whenever the water gets a little bit warmer, and I think their mouth gets a little bit softer, they're eating shad and bait fish and brim, especially in the summer. off brim beds. So I think EWG is a little bit better in the summer or warm weather months, but in the winter I prefer the regular round bend style trebles. Now I'm not going to change. I don't have the money because I try to budget myself. I'm not going to change out the hooks just based off the conditions. Maybe that's lazy, but I'm saying ideally, if I were going to choose whether it's the round bend or EWG, I like round bend in the winter and EWG in the warmer months. And I was using this. The line is 15-pound P-line topwater. I went to that for my 2 topwater rods this year. I have a buzzbait rod I use 20 pounds on because I get back into thick stuff and heavier cover with a greenfish tackle toad toter. So I definitely have 20 for that. But this is the first time I've used it. It is just kind of a mono coated. It's good. I don't like braid on my topwater. You know, I don't know. That's a big argument. People use different stuff, but this topwater line is really good. And another thing about the clasp, whenever you use a Norman speed clip, you don't have to use a loop knot because it gives all that action. You can see how free my bait moves. So if you look at it, that's almost like you using a loop knot. So that's another reason I like it. Also, take off the split ring because I don't like split rings because where the split ring comes together, where you open it up, take it off, sometimes your line can get in there. And me personally, I feel like my line can get eaten up a little bit in that split ring. That's just my thought, and that's why I don't use split rings at all. I don't have split rings on any of my baits. I take every single one off. I don't like it because there's no little spot there on this one, either this or the Norman, and you can see it there. There's nowhere for my line to get caught in, like a regular split ring would. So another reason I like these. And this is on just I don't know, it's just like a 7-foot G Loomis GL2. It's an older rod, but I'm not going to throw it away because they're still awesome. And it, I got them on sale a few years ago, and that's what I have the other one on too, the crankbait. This is a 845C CBR. It's just like a medium heavy 7-foot rod. Good rod. Just no reason to get rid of it. And I have it on just a Quantum Tour S3. They quit making these, which is ridiculous. At Quantum, why do you do that? You make the best reel you've ever made ever in the history of your company. You make the Tour S3 and then you quit making it. That's dumb. Quantum, I'm calling you out. I got Quantum stuff right there. And now they're going to smoke. I heard they're going to saltwater. And I've used Quantum my whole life, and I hate that they're doing that. That's why you saw the Shimano, because I'm going to have to change my stuff up. But Quantum Tour S3, if you can find any of those, especially used, like on eBay or something like that, or like new stock, because there's still some for sale out there. It is by far the best reel they've ever made. So Loomis GL2 medium heavy 7-foot crankbait rod. It's just a good all-around topwater rod. As long as it's not like the bigger shower blows or the really big whopper ploppers, things like that. With this, I have to go with like a medium size topwater, but I don't really throw the big stuff, so it works out for me. But that's my topwater rod, and that's why I use all my topwaters. I just use the Norman speed clip, and then I just swap it out. And if I want to go from popper to that, to a spook, to whatever kind of topwater, smaller shower blows, Guggen revolver or the, whopper plopper, whatever it is, I just put it on that. So that's my topwater rod. And last but not least, same rod. It's a different rod. Same one. It's 845C CBR. GL2, Loomis GL2, and this is on 14-pound line. And this is like my light cranking rod. And this, again, is a compromise because I use the same reel too. Quantum S3 Tour. 7.3 to 1. Great reel. Again, don't know why they quit making them. But use it on 14 pounds, Cigar and VizX. Great line. Use it pretty much for everything. All my fluoro, that's what I use. I have zero problems with it, so that's what I use. And I do have a Norman speed clip on this one because I was actually showing this bait in the last video. There's a Norman speed clip. Streamline, no problems. Never going to get hung up on grass. I've had zero problems with the entire time I've used them. But this is a Spro Little John. The water's cold and I like a flat side. So, and this also has round bend trebles. But a medium depth crankbait, Little John MD. It goes, I actually have in my crankbait box, I have all the Spro Little Johns, all of them. The Fat John, Little John MD. Just the regular Little John as well. I use them all. And really our water gets so much pressure here that I know that flat-sided crankbaits are more traditionally for colder water and great for this time of the year. And this is a spring crawl color. If you've never used spring crawl, get your life together. Because it's I don't like the reds. I don't throw a lot of the reds. I get it. I know that they work. I have caught fish with them. I have some. But I took them out of my box because I get more bites. I know our fish here, like orange, brown, yellows, that's what crawfish look like whenever the water is cold here, so that's what I use. I've never seen an all red crawfish. I know that they have them. I've just never seen one with my own two eyes in the water. I've seen them with red, like a green pumpkin red, but I've never seen an all red. So again, I'm not arguing that they catch fish. That is a preference deal, so don't get mad at me there. I do need to sharpen these hooks because you can see this bill's been, I'm sure you can see it a little bit there, but this bill has been ground down. I mean, I really get after it. This crankbait goes about 6-7 feet, probably on 12-pound line, which would be my preferred line for it, but I also use, this is my light crankbait rod, so square bills I would like 14, and in this case, in MD I would use 10 or 12. 10 I could probably get down to about 8, maybe 9 feet. 12 feet, you're definitely going to get 12-pound line, you'll definitely get down 12 feet, and then, not 12 feet, 8 feet, and then with this, 6, 7, I can hit 7 some on a good long cast with a Lil John MD and 14-pound sea line, Cigar and VizX. So there you go. Great, the rod reel, 14-pound line, Norman speed clip to a Lil John MD. Great bait. Never used it. Lil John baits are excellent baits, and the MD is definitely one of the best. It's got a little bit of a not much, just kind of a little bit of sound there, but the good tight wobble with a flat side crankbait really calls them up with their lateral lines in the summer, whenever in this colder months, whenever they're feeding more from their lateral lines than they are the sound or sight fishing, because water at this time of year usually has some stain, just like it did this weekend. So a little bit of sound, I guess put it in front of the mic. Huh? But it's also a tungsten weight transfer system, so it casts pretty good. Good crankbait, so yeah, and spring crawl, that's money. Shouldn't even be showing that. That's kind of a juice deal there, especially around here. So that's a 3. X-Zone True Center Sticks, 6-inch, 17-pound line, 7.2 medium heavy rod, Spro Lil John MD, medium heavy crankbait rod, 7 foot on 14-pound line, and last but not least, Guggen. Dang Guggens, they got Zal Dangerous, but Guggen Spook on, again, 7 foot medium heavy cranking top water crankbait rod. You just really want that moderate flex for a top water, so you get a good hook set. You don't pull it out of their mouth. You don't pull the hooks out of their mouth. It's just something, it really lets them set the hook on themselves. There you go. Great weekend. Water was stained. Just try to find some whenever the water is really dirty, especially if you're on a dammed lake like Coosa River is. Try to find a little bit cleaner water. I like the in-between, so that's why I went more mid-lake. I intentionally went mid-lake because I didn't want to go all the way south where the water's super clear and the fishing get a little bit tougher. And, so I didn't want to go down there. Upriver, totally blown out. Mid-lake, kind of the region I was in. Good in between. Never had been there before. Just saw launch. I knew the area was kind of the water clarity I was looking for, just guessing because I didn't get to practice. And just, caught the right fish. Picked a good area, right water clarity. Took my time, moved fast in between stuff, but whenever I got somewhere, really slowed down and caught the right one. So there you go. Winter Iron City Kayak Anglers. Pow! Second event of the year, and hopefully the rest of the season's going to go as well. My second win of the year, so really good year so far. Looking forward to the rest of the year. Going to try getting some, obviously doing the KFL later this year with the Coosa Kingfishers, me and Coley McGowan's team. Planning on winning everything with that. We'll see, definitely tough to do that. Got 3rd/4th place last year with the Alabama Hammers, and we made our own team this year, so hopefully we'll do great in that. And some bigger events coming up this year, so there we go. There's actually looking back there, like a red with chartreuse on bottom. That's a good color too, though. Mark Menendez, I watched a video on that one time, and that's a really good bait. It's called Green Tomato, so I got that Spro Lil John back there. Fat John. I'm going to have to take that off the wall and put that in the box. So that's a killer one. But yeah, there you go. Iron City Kayak Anglers. Winner. Y'all be good. Like and subscribe. I appreciate y'all watching. Long video, but hopefully I gave you some great information on how to fish Coosa River this time of year. So y'all be good and be safe out there. Later.